that's what I have said.
Say hi, Kaye.
So, okay, we're here is Monday, and we're here for gentle. So, get comfortable whether you're at home and crooked or here. I don't think it matters, does it? So, sit comfortably. If you're on the floor, make sure if you need blankets, put blankets up underneath you. Get yourself up higher if you need to. Oftentimes that helps your hips to feel better. And then just close your eyes and let your awareness come to be with your breath now. Just watching your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling your belly expand a little bit as you inhale. You know you're welcome to come into deeper breaths. Inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And on your exhales, imagine the breath coming out of your chest, and then your ribs, and then your belly. So it's like an elevator. Riding the breath from the bottom to the top, and then coming back down from there. Start to move a little bit forward and back with your breath. So your exhales bring you forward, doesn't matter how far, and your inhales bring you back up to sitting, so that you just start that gentle rocking motion. It's quieting and calming, and just enjoying feeling that sense of moving with your breath, connecting your movement and your breath. The next time that you come back up to sitting, let yourself stay there. Lengthen up through the top of your head and release your hands on out beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on your fine, exhale, bring your hands down together in front of your heart. And then we'll reverse and inhale our hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now just let your shoulders easily circle in one direction. So really gently, right? So you're just letting yourself come with the circles going one way and small, not so you feel like you're tensing up your shoulders. And then stop and reverse and let those circles go the other way. Just be mindful, let it feel good. And then release, let your arms come on down, and let's inhale the hands straight on out from the shoulders. Flex your hands and bend your elbows and bring your hands in towards your shoulders. And then when you exhale, press out into the heels of the hands. And press down into your feet too. Whatever part of your feet are touching the floor. And then as you inhale, bring your hands back in. And as you exhale again, press out into the heels of the hands and into the feet if you can. And then one more time, inhaling, letting the hands come in. And then as you exhale, pressing on out, feeling the undersides of the arms there. And then we'll release our arms on down, shake out a little bit. And let's come into now crossing our right ankle above or below our left knee. So you all on the floor are going to stretch your leg long, right? I'm going to mirror you, by the way. So you're going to stretch your left leg long and cross your right ankle above or below. And if you can't cross, don't do it. Put the foot more to the midline. And now, those same little easy forward and back. And this might be really tiny. Exhaling, letting yourself come forward a little bit, and inhaling to come back up. So let your movement be really gentle and easy, and let yourself again feel the breath as you exhale, bringing you forward, and inhaling, coming back up. Good, and now again, The next time you come forward, let yourself stay there. If it's convenient to put your left hand on your right foot there, you can press the foot into your hand, let yourself really feel engaged up into your hip a little deeper, but you don't have to do that part. Just enjoy here, feeling length in the back of your neck. It's okay to allow your head to hang if that feels okay, but just try not to lift the chin up and kind of tighten the back of the neck if you can help it. So one more breath. And then we're going to come all the way on up, and we're going to take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our right. So bring yourself on around and let yourself lengthen up here. Feel the sitting bones drawing down, the chin parallel to the floor. And feel your low belly just gently engaging. One more inhale. And on your exhale, coming back around into center here. And let's release our arms straight out from beside us from here. And then just bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a bit of a hug there. Let your chin come down towards your chest. And you may decide you want to come into a half eagle or eagle arm wrap here, or you may not, right? You may want to stay hugging. You might want to send the backs of the hands towards each other. Totally up to you. Let yourself be where you can there, releasing between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll release, unwind our arms on down, and we're going to switch our legs out. So take your time, stretch both legs out for a second if you need to. And then again, once you start to cross that left ankle, either above or below your knee, and if it's better not to cross over, don't. And then start to move a little bit forward and back with your breath. So be really mindful. Like you'll kind of know if you come forward too much, you'll feel like, wow, I really don't want to go there. Just don't go as far. You may be moving more in your mind than actually physically moving. So just ease your way into letting that hip release a little deeper, keeping your back nice and long. Feeling those inhales bring you upright and the exhales bringing you a little forward. And then the next time again that you come forward, let yourself stay there. If you do want to put your right hand on your left foot, you can press the ball of the foot into your hand a little bit. Let yourself feel engaged up into this left hip. And again, let yourself be okay with where you have your head. Make sure you're not tensing up the back of your neck. And really release there through your face. Good. One more inhale. And then as we come on back up, we're going to sit up nice and tall before the twist, inhaling. And on the exhale, twisting to our left. So bring yourself around. You can put that right hand on your left knee if you want, or more towards your shin if that feels better. Don't force anything. And just enjoy again, feeling that length upward through the top of your head. Good. One more inhale. And then let your exhale bring you back around into center. Float your arms up. Bring your right arm on top of your left now to give that hug. Again, you may want to stay right here. You don't have to go any further. If you feel like you'd rather just kind of stay here and move your head around, do. Again, if it feels really good to slide in towards that half eagle wrap, or even just, partially bringing the hands, backs of the hands towards each other. Or you can go ahead into that full wrap if you choose. Let your shoulders melt down. Let yourself imagine you're breathing into the space between your shoulder blades on your back. Good. One more breath. And then we'll unwind our arms and let them come on down beside us. Let's uncross our legs and then go ahead and stretch your legs out. So if you're in your chair, you can scoot all the way back if you want. Go ahead and flex and point your feet a little bit. Just really finding that movement through your ankles and your feet. And you can pedal them if you'd rather. Do one foot one way and one the other if that feels better. Good. And then we'll come on around towards our hands and knees from here. So if you know you don't want to be on your hands and knees, use a chair or let yourself, if you'd rather be out of your hands, you can let yourself come down to your forearms, right? So you can do cat-cows without putting that stress into your wrists. So if you have issues with your hands or your wrists, be really mindful so that you can focus on your back without being in any kind of discomfort, right? And then just start to flow through. And if you need to stop and cat or cow and stay for a couple of breaths, by all means do. So that it feels really easy. And you may even decide, well, I like to move through, but I don't want to go all the way up into that deep curve either way, either in cat or cow. So you can make them a little bit smaller. If you can, let your tailbone start the movement, and then just kind of imagine that your head is a part of your spine, right? So that when you move through the spine, you start with that tailbone and then feel like your head just kind of adds on there at the top of the spine. And then we'll finish off so we can come back to more neutral, looking down between our hands. And then just turn to look to the right with your head. Let your right hand come off the floor. Now, it might just barely come off. That might be better for you. You might want to get the arm parallel to the floor. Some of you might want to send the hand up higher and higher towards the ceiling, right? That is dependent on your shoulders. And then bring the hand on back down. We're going to turn to look to the left. We're going to let that left hand come up. It doesn't have to come up high. You can stay right there. At least you're strengthening your right arm, right? Shoulder and arm. You can let the hand come higher and higher if you want. You can keep the arm parallel to the floor if you want. And then we'll come on back down with our hands. Good. We're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back and find lunge here. So you know blocks are fine. Chair is fine. Whatever you want to use for your hands, whatever height feels good for you. And then coming into the length of the stance that feels good as well. So letting yourself feel the feet like they're on narrow railroad tracks, so you feel good in your hips. Start to feel that length out through the crown of the head, so you have this long line down the back of your body. Good. And then we're going to switch our legs out. So whether you like to step forward or back, that's up to you. Remember that alignment of that front knee, so you're not putting undue stress on your front knee. It's not bent any farther forward than your ankle. You can enjoy finding that length again in the back of the body as well as the back of that left leg, of course. Good. And we're going to switch again. So take your time. I know some of you like to lift up that front hand. So if your left leg is in front, your left hand or forearm can come onto your thigh. If you like that lifting up a little bit, that's totally up to you. You don't need to do that. You can keep your hands down. You can bring both up if you want. And then bring your hands down if they were up and straighten your front knee out and let your right heel just descend back a little bit more. So you really get into the calf pretty deeply. Extend your torso out over that front leg. And then bend the left knee again. Come back into that full lunge. And we're going to switch legs. So however you like to switch. Coming into that right foot forward and take your time. Get your alignment there. And again, it's totally optional to bring the right hand or forearm up so that if you want a little bit more into your legs and hips, you can do it that way, or you can bring both hands up if you want. Or you can keep both hands down. Engage your low belly a little bit. Zip up your low belly. Good, and then we'll bring the hands back down. If they were up, we're going to straighten that front leg out. And again, let that back heel just kind of go directly back and feel the backs of both legs really. Good, and then we're going to bend the front knee. And we're going to step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. So feet are hips distance apart and as parallel as feels good for you. You know you're welcome to put support underneath your forearms if you like to use your chair, if you like to use your elbows above your knees, or maybe you want to put your hands down on the blocks. See if you can bend one knee at a time, like keep your feet flat on the floor, and then just let one knee bend so one leg comes a little straighter, and you kind of shift a little bit to that long leg side. But don't lock your knee. Don't jam back into locking your knees when you do this little walking. And then come on back into center. Let both knees bend a little bit and come on into where you can be with your breath for a couple of breaths. Let your head hang if possible. Let yourself feel that release for the backs of your legs. You know if you need to keep that long back, do. Keeping support however you need. Watching the breaths all the way in and all the way out. And then we'll bring our hands now up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, if you need to check out your feet to make sure they're where you think they are, go right ahead. Get yourself really mindful of being balanced there between your feet. And let your hands come to meet in front of your heart. And for a second, bring your hands farther away from you and kind of look at your hands. You know, feel that connection, kind of separate your fingers a little bit and reconnect them. And then on your next exhale, let your thumbs just come right where they want to come, in towards your chest. It doesn't matter if it's higher or lower, right? Just letting yourself be really comfortable in your shoulders as the hands come in. And whether your eyes are opened or closed, let your gaze come on out like you're looking at the horizon. And then just kind of grow up out of your rooted feet. So you feel your feet equal in the floor. You can bend your knees a little bit if that helps, pressing down into the floor there. And then grow up out of those rooted feet. Feel the thighs just gently engaging upward. Your tailbone drops down between your heels so you're not tucking your pelvis forward. And you're really letting yourself feel that little bit of lift in the belly. And then just enjoy. Feel as light as you can in your upper body. Just letting everything get stacked up. It's easy to be in your mountain pose once you're aligned. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms right on down beside us. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on your exhale, bend your knees as you come forward into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Lengthen out through your spine wherever you want your hands to go, that's fine. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. Coming into that first sun salutation, warming up every muscle in the body. One more inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose. You know your down dog is totally up to you. You can be holding on to the chair with your hands. You can have your hands on blocks or the floor, but feel that length through your spine and let your shoulders be comfortable. Elbows softly hug in a little bit. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. You don't have to do a full plank pose. You can if you want. You can, if you choose, do little push-ups. You can let your elbows bend and come into a little bit more strength there in the arms, in the shoulders, really. Or stay in your plank. There's a lot of strength to be built in core there as well as in your arms and your shoulders. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit in your dog. Now, bend one knee at a time. Let yourself feel really easy as that long leg, the heel goes down towards the ground. And then come on back to your full dog and let your knees both bend a little bit. Hug your elbows in a little bit, but press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat wider. Good, and then from here we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge. So however you want to get there into that lunge, you know that. You can bring your knees down, you can bring one knee down and then step that foot forward. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Easy, support, whatever you need, be up as high as you need to be. Try to, if you can, let your head hang. If that bothers your back, at least make sure you're not tensing up and lifting your chin up to tighten the back of your neck. And receive your breaths in and out really deeply, feeling those ribs expand in all directions when you inhale. And as we let our hands now rise on up to our hips, we're going to bend our knees and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms, and from here, let's inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And let yourself from here fold your left arm just so that you put your hand kind of to the middle of the back, or maybe a little more over to your right side. And then from there, just come up a little higher through the fingertips and come over into a little side stretch. And if this bothers your bottom shoulder, adjust however you need. If you like, you can let the arm hang instead. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up to the top. We're going to bend that right elbow. Let the hand come wherever you can, keeping your gaze forward, either to the top of the head or the back of the head or the neck or the upper back. And some of you I know really like to think about bringing your hands together. You don't have to actually do that, but if it feels good to feel that a little bit more release through the shoulders, do. And then we're going to unfold everything right on down beside us and clasp our hands right together for a second. And come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhale into the belly and then into the ribs and then all the way up into your chest. And then, releasing your hands, we're going to inhale the left arm up. And we're going to fold this right arm. Again, you know, where you put this hand is up to you. You can put it to the midline or a little over more to the left. Lengthen upward now through the left fingertips and come over into that bit of a side stretch. And it doesn't have to be far. Let yourself just enjoy breathing into the left ribs. Try to think about your hips staying square. Make sure you're not drawing back with that right hip, but your hips are staying square towards the front. And then we'll come on back up. And again, once you're there, bend that elbow. It really depends on your shoulder. If it has to come out, your elbow comes out, that's fine. If you like the sense of bringing the elbow up higher, that's fine. And then again, this is totally up to you, playing with your hands a little bit back here on your back. You can keep this arm down. You don't have to use it at all. Totally up to you. Keep the gaze forward though. One more breath. And then we're going to release our arms on down. And this time let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a flat back. Wherever you want your hands to go. Remember, it can be your chair or your legs or your blocks. And this time, left foot steps back to come into lunge. So draw your shoulders away from your ears in your lunge here. Really feel that sense of pressing your feet a little away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat a little longer. And then we'll come into a downward facing dog pose. So it's your choice when you come into dog, where you have your hands. Take your time. If you need to bend your knees, do. If you like to walk your dog, do. Now just enjoy reaching back equally through your sitting bones. Feel the sides of the body equally long. And then we're going to come on out towards that plank. So again, this is totally up to you. You know that. Whether you put your knees or your forearms down. You can do a half plank. You can do a forearm plank. You can stay in plank. Think about reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. Or you can do little push-ups if you choose. Totally up to you. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, this time left foot will step forward to come into lunge. So if you need to put your right knee or both knees down, do to bring that left foot forward and through. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And I know some of you really are fine to put your hands onto your own elbows, holding your elbows. that obviously is not good for people who need to keep that flat back. So just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy. Let the head hang. Let your face soften. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips as we press into our feet and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. This time, clasp your hands behind you again. And let yourself just move, if you can do this, if it doesn't bother your shoulders, move a little bit. So when you inhale, let your hands just come off your back a bit. And when you exhale, they come back down. So inhaling, the hands come away. And exhaling, they come back down. And now stay with your hands down. Really find your alignment. Your hands are right there where you can tell what your pelvis is doing. So if you happen to be tucked up under forward with your tailbone, that's what's going to happen in your back, right? Or if you let go and you let yourself come into that big sway back, that's going to happen. So let yourself find the tailbone dropping down. Feel very open across your chest. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and come forward. Now you can stay like up higher. Keep your back long, bend your knees. You can be more parallel to the floor if you want, looking straight down, coming into, that sort of 90-degree angle. Or you can fold more over your legs if it feels okay to you. And some of you may even want to let your hands come off your back. That's just not in everybody's shoulders, so don't force anything. One more breath. And then let your hands come on down. Let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back. And we're going to come into down dog from here. So you place your hands and you walk your way back into your down dog. And just enjoy. Move a little bit. Wag your tail if you want. Walk your dog if you choose. And then come on back to your full dog and let your next inhale bring you to your plank. And once you come into plank, you can decide if you want to do a back bend or not. You don't have to. You can keep coming down with the pelvis, forward with the chest to an up dog, or you can come down to the floor and do a sphinx, or you can come up into a little cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time. Let your head move around. If it feels good to turn your head side to side, do. And then we'll come on back to full dog. And again, next inhale brings us towards that plank. And again, into a back bend only if you choose to do one. And whatever form of a back bend you want. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down, away from your ears now, and feel your whole body in your lunge right now. And it's probably a little bit longer than when you started, a little bit deeper. And then we'll step forward back into standing forward bend. Right to your breaths now. So see if you can. At the end of your inhales, feel that little pause. It's a little space. It's not like you're holding your breath, but just a little bit of a suspension really. And then when you exhale, find that same little tiny space before you inhale. That doesn't mean you're holding your breath at all. And in fact, you might still actually feel a little bit of movement, but just bring your awareness to those little spaces between your breaths. It's very calming. And see if your breaths can even out a little bit. So your inhales and exhales become a little closer to the same length. Good. And then from here, we're going to let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. coming on into your mountain pose. So hopefully feeling that lightness now, especially forward bending, really brings that sense of being able to feel very easy in your upper body. Your head feels lighter, kind of like getting a haircut. Let yourself just enjoy feeling the body stacked up, finding that alignment. And it's like you really feel your body in space. And almost like the air around you, everywhere that's around you, is supporting you. It's almost like you become a part of the space around you, really. And once you get that feeling in mountain pose, there's nothing like it. Unfold your arms and shake out just a little bit. Move around however you need to. And we're going to do some warriors. So I'm going to flip my chair around. Not many of you have one, but if you want to use it, turn it around and have your blocks handy there. We're going to step our right foot back and we're going to come into warrior two. So we're going to get that left foot about parallel to the long edge of the mat. How long of a stance you take is up to you. Bend that front knee. Let yourself, check out how you feel in that back right foot as well. And then from there, just let your hands come to be in front of your heart for a second so that you're just letting yourself get really equalized between your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. You feel balanced. Good. And then let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And then open the arms. Let the palms face up as you turn to look to your left palm there. And your elbows are very soft. So your arms are curved, right? And you feel really easy in the tops of your shoulders. And then we'll start to turn the hands the other way and reach out through the fingertips here now. Flex your hands for a second, just for a second. Look at the back of your left hand. And then go ahead and let the palms face down. Reach out through your fingertips. Spread your hands out a little bit. Spread your fingers a little bit. Good. And then we'll bring our right hand onto our right hip. And we're going to straighten that left knee out and bring our left hand down for triangle. So you can use your chair. You can use your thigh. As you extend your torso out, you can, if you want, grab a block. A block can be on the inside or the outside of that left leg there. And if you can add that right arm straight up from your shoulder, you can do that. If your shoulder says no, just keep your hand down. So the triangle has 3 points. The top, shoulder or hand, and then your 2 feet. And there's your triangle pose. So one more breath. And then we're going to bend that left knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet gently away from each other. And then we're going to turn the left palm up, and we're going to inhale and reach up towards the ceiling, coming into reverse warrior. You can reach as far back behind yourself as you want, or you can go straight up with that hand. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So this one can be either your left hand or forearm on your thigh. You now have your left knee bent. And you can add your top arm or not. You can have the hand down on the hip like we did in triangle, or you can bring the arm on up into line with the right side of the body. Feel length through both sides of the body. Let yourself extend out through the top of your head. We're going to come on back into warrior two. Press the feet gently away from each other, getting you back into the pose. And then we'll bring our hands down, and we're going to turn our feet more parallel. You may want your blocks. We're going to come on forward for a wide-legged forward bend. So you can bring your hands to whatever surface you like to use. Once you get there, turn your toes out just a little bit. So you're turned out from your hips, right? And bend both your knees. Like if you were standing up, you'd be in goddess. So your knees are coming out over the center of your feet. You're turned out a little bit. Good. And then you can straighten your left knee, keep your right knee a little bent. And then come back to bending the left knee and try straightening the right knee out. So you're kind of shifting a little bit. And you can do a couple more of those. If you like that shifting side to side, you can. If not, don't do it. Obviously, if it bothers your knees, don't do it. And then come back into center. And we're going to turn our toes back forward to get our feet more parallel. And then from there, walk your hands over to the right. Whether you like just shift your blocks a little to the right, or maybe you walk your hands over towards your right foot. But stay here for a breath or two. Give your body time to adjust. And then we'll come on back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, you can just shift your blocks. You can walk over towards your foot. Once you get as far as you're going to be, then just stay there and breathe. Good, and then we'll come on back into center and just adjust however you need to set up for this pose. You know, if you need to bend your knees a little bit more, kind of wiggle around a little bit, do. If you need to stack some blocks up to get up into getting out of your hands, you know you're more than welcome to bring your forearms to blocks or to let yourself stack blocks up. Or you can put your elbows above your knees if that feels like a better support for your back. But if possible now, let yourself feel the weight of your head. So you want to be comfortable enough to where you don't feel any stress in your body here. So if you have to readjust, do. So that you can be with your breaths. Watch those breaths again all the way in and out. And find those little spaces between your breaths again. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to make our way back up. So take your time as you come up to standing, and you know if you're dizzy at all, if you need to keep your feet wide, if you need to kind of reorient yourself, do. And then we'll bring our feet on together and move around through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Sometimes just picking one up and circling your foot around helps. And we're going to come to the other side. So we're going to step our left foot back, coming into that warrior two, and line our heels up. And again, that alignment of that front knee, remember, right over the center of the foot, letting yourself find that alignment where it feels, again, so balanced between your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. And then just letting your hands come to meet in front of your heart. And for a second, really feel your hands together there. Feel each finger connected, your thumbs, whatever part of your palms touch. Feel the feet, again, equal into the ground. And then as you inhale your hands up through the midline, and open the arms and let the palms stay up as your elbows melt down. Your arms are curved again, remember, and you feel really soft in the tops of your shoulders. And try to let your hands feel soft too, right? And then as we turn the hands over and we start to reach out, spread your fingers out a little bit. Really reach back as equally through the left fingertips as you're reaching forward through the right. Feel the feet in the floor. And then as our left hand comes down to our hip, we're going to straighten the right leg out and bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, and you know, you can use a block. You can stack two blocks up together and be up higher. You can have your hand on your leg, but draw that left shoulder up towards the ceiling. And then it is totally optional to add that arm up there. You can keep the hand down. If you do have the arm up there, get to where your shoulder is comfortable. Try to turn your palm towards that long edge of your mat so that you feel easy in your shoulder, that long edge in front of you there. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two and press those feet away from each other. Get you back into that strength, that core strength of the pose. And then we're going to turn the right palm up. Let your left hand just slide down your back leg there as you inhale into reverse warrior. Breathing into the right side here. One more full breath. And on the exhale, we're going to come into that side angle. So again, it can be your hand on your thigh here. You can go down to your forearm if you want. And adding this top arm up is totally up to you. You know, you can keep the hand on your hip. You can extend the arm up long, finding that nice sense of length now. But feel long through your spine. Let yourself feel really lengthened. Good. One more breath. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then as our hands come down, we're going to turn our feet again, more parallel. And come on forward, grab blocks if you need them. Let your hands come down to whatever surface you like to use. And go ahead now and bend a knee at a time. Adjust yourself however you want. You can bend both knees if it feels good. Just wiggle around till you feel a little more at ease in the pose. Good. And then adjust your feet to where you can bring your elbows, bend your knees, and you can put your elbows to rest above your knees, right? And you're really lengthened here in your spine. It's a squat. You've got a very long back. Now, if you want from here, if you feel good to do this, bring your hands onto your back clasped. So that's a little bit different feeling because you're not supported, right? So if that doesn't feel so good, don't do it. I know some of you would love to fold forward in this pose with your hands back like that. And some of you might want to let your arms come off of your back. Again, these are all total options. Not everybody's shoulders will do that, and not everybody's back should do that. So you come where you can. One more breath. And then let your hands come on down and let yourself adjust here to stay in your pose with your breath. So if you're fine to bring your hands more to between your feet, let your head hang there, you can. If you need support, use it. Elbows above the knees, forearms on the blocks, hands on the blocks. Watching your breath all the way in, all the way out. Feeling again that sense of evenness of your breaths. Softness through your face and your jaw. One more breath. And now take your time. We're going to slowly make our way up from here. So hands on the thighs, working your way up, and then walk your feet on together. Move around a little bit again through your feet and your ankles. And bring your blocks forward now. We're going to come into just working a little bit in pyramid pose. So we're going to bring ourselves down with our hands to the blocks, and then we'll step our right foot back to find a lunge at first. Just come into your normal lunge. Let yourself just enjoy finding your lunge. And you can use your chair. You can use your chair seat, or you can use the back of a chair if you need. Good. And then from here, let's come into pyramid pose. Straightening that front leg out. Letting your right heel now turn inward just a little bit. And if you need to adjust your stance, do. You might need to get shorter, than you were in your lunge. You might need to step up a little bit with that back right foot. So take your time. Lengthen out through your spine. Find that nice flat back there. Back heel is fully on the floor in pyramid pose. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips, and you're thinking of a nice flat back. So if you know you have a tendency to round up into your spine, really try to allow yourself to come down with your chest so that you can flatten out into your back a bit, right? Enjoy finding that length of the spine. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to step forward with the right foot. We're going to step the left foot back to a normal lunge first. Find your lunge. Let yourself find that release in the lunge. And then again, we're going to step in enough to bring that left heel down to the floor. That back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. And we're trying to let ourselves find that flat back. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. So if you can allow yourself just to enjoy watching your breath. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And we're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. Let the top of the head get higher and higher. Feel like you're just floating upward with the top of your head. And then feel that ease of finding your mountain pose here. Nice, and then we'll release our arms on down beside us. Shake out just a little bit. We're going to keep our mats right where they are, but we do want to go put our fingertip on something that'll give us support, whether it's a bookcase or a wall, so where you have plenty of room. Yeah, you can come right there, Larry. So just walk on in. You can come here, Helen, if you want. Yeah. Jeannie, if you want, are you comfortable there? Good. Okay. So left hand to whatever you're on, and then bringing yourself into your little tree pose with your right foot at first, coming in low. So your heel is coming to the inside of your left ankle, but your toes are on the floor. And just indulge me if you don't usually do this, all right? See if you can bring your hands to your heart. Bring your gaze forward. Feel what's happening there. There's a lift through the front of your left leg. Keep your toes on the floor. Let the hands come up through the midline and come into the arms up overhead, maybe like a V. Good. Now, if you feel really comfortable here, just float that right foot up into your inner calf. And if you need to hold on to do that, hold on to do that. And if any of you are like, well, I really want to bring the foot up higher, then you can reach down with your hand and bring the foot up into your inner thigh if you want to. Again, it's that lift through the front of the left leg. One more breath. And now let yourself release and come on down. And we're going to turn around and we're going to go the other side. So again, you're standing on your right foot. Your left heel comes to the inside of your ankle bone there. Your toes are on the floor. Maybe the ball of the foot's on the floor too. It depends on you. And from there, see if you can just bring your hands to your heart. You might have to look over the head of the person that's in front of you. If you feel distracted, find a place to look at where you're not. I mean, sometimes looking 6 feet in front of you on the floor feels good, right? And then see if you can bring your arms all the way up into that open V. You can feel that lift through the front of the right hip. It's almost like you want to, lift the right heel a little off the floor. I mean, you're lifting through the front of the hip, right? And then maybe, just maybe, you want to put the foot up to the inside of your calf. And of course, again, if you like the foot coming up higher, you can reach down. You can bring the foot up into the inside of your thigh if you'd like. So your hips are staying square. Nice, everybody. It doesn't matter if you hold on to the wall forever and ever, right? We're going to let ourselves release on down. Turn to face the wall for a second. Bring your area, or a bait, you can even do it on the bookshelf. Bring your left hand up to where it's holding on somewhere to the wall. You're facing the wall. You're going to bend your right knee, put your right foot as close as you can to your buttocks. Really, really let yourself bend the knee deeply. If you can reach back and get your foot, do, right? If you can't, don't worry about it. We're all going to let our chest come towards the wall, though, and let our knee come back a little bit, whether you have the foot or not. And if you have the foot, you can push the foot a little bit more into your hand. You can feel a little more engagement. But instead of balancing, really let this pose help you feel the openness across your chest and the release for your quad. One more breath. Bring that right knee back down. Lower the foot on down. Bring both hands to the wall for a second. Actually, come onto your forearms for a second, just to release. And then from here, we'll come on back. And this time it'll be the left foot that bends, right? Send the right hand up higher. And again, if you want to come towards the wall without holding your foot, you can bring both hands up and let your head come towards the wall, right? If you don't have the foot, you can maybe let yourself do that way, or you can get your foot. You can push the foot into your hand more, and as the knee comes back, kind of let your chest come towards the wall a little bit. Don't overdo, you know that. Nice. And then let yourself release. Walk on back to the wall. And then just come into wider feet and turn around so you can kind of see what you're doing. And then come on into bringing your elbows above your knees. let yourself release there. And if you're at a wall, you're more than welcome to use it. You can let yourself put your bottom onto the wall and let yourself come forward that way. Release the hips and the back. Good. And then we're going to make our way up, and we're going to come back to our mats on the floor, and we're going to come down to our bellies when we get there. So let yourself come on down onto your belly, and just rest your forehead on your hands if you can. Let yourself release by bending your knees and circle your feet a little bit, maybe do a little foot dance up there. And then if it's comfortable to do the windshield wiper blades, you can let the legs come from one side to the other. Good. And then come on back with long legs, and let's come onto our forearms. Find a little Sphinx pose here with the palms facing down. Really spread your fingers out. Really spread your fingers out so you can feel each finger. In fact, let's lift the pointer fingers up and then put them back down. And you can watch your fingers. Lift your middle fingers up. Let them come back down. Lift your ring fingers up. Let them come back down, and then your pinkies, and let them come back down. Your thumbs a little bit, and then everything's back down now. Really feeling your fingers and your hands in the ground. Good, and then bend one knee at a time and lift your hips up once you get your feet up. So you're in a forearm, half forearm plank. Draw yourself forward towards the front of your mat. Really feel your belly engaging. And take your time. You don't have to stay here long if you don't want. If you feel like you want to do a full forearm plank with your arms like this, you're more than welcome to put your feet down and lift up with your knees. Whichever one of these you prefer to do, let yourself just enjoy for another breath. And then let yourself release. And bring your hands into that little pillow. Rest your forehead on your hands. And now from here, turn your head so that your left side of your head is on your hands, okay? And draw your right knee bent like it's drawing up towards your right elbow. So it kind of comes off to the side of your mat, right? It's on the floor. It's like if you're a belly sleeper, right? This might be the way you would sleep at night if you laid on your belly. And just release that hip there. Take your time. Let it feel good. See if you can breathe into your low back. Feel the low back expand when you inhale. Your foot's on the floor too. You're just really relaxed there. Good. And then we're going to come back with that leg underneath us, and we're going to turn our head the other way. And again, now the left knee that kind of comes up like it's heading towards your elbow. And again, you can just release and relax there and breathe into your low back. So you're literally feeling that expansion. You feel the low back rising physically. Good. So one more breath there. And now bring the foot back down underneath you. Let your arms now come down alongside you and turn your palms down towards the ground. Let your hands be off your mat, onto the floor, right beside your mat. And then on your next inhale, let your head just barely come off the floor. So your nose barely clears the floor. You're using your back there to come up. And then come back down, rest your forehead on the ground, and see if you can lift your legs up, just your legs. And then release back down. And now from here, lift your head up again, lift your legs up again, and then see if you can just add your hands up as well, coming into locust pose. And then come down just a little bit, about not all the way to the floor if you can help it. Stay there for a breath. And then see if you can inhale up again a little bit. And then let yourself release all the way down. And we're going to shift back towards pose of a child from here. Everybody is different in their child's pose. If you need to keep your bottom up in the air and keep yourself forward on your forearms, do. If you're fine to shift back with your hips more towards your heels. How far apart your knees are in your child's pose is totally up to you. Right? Some people really like their knees way apart. Some people like their knees closer together, feeling their ribs kind of rest on their thighs. So just be mindful. Let it feel good for your back and your hips. Breathing into that low back again. And as we now bring our hands to help us up, we're going to take our time to come up to sitting so that we can bring our legs around in front of it. So, blanket might be nice to sit on for some of us. You know, if seated forward bending is not your favorite thing, sit up on a blanket. It might help. And then we're going to bring our left leg long and bring our right foot in. You might want to do like in tree and have it low. You might want to bring the foot up to the inner thigh. And if you already feel iffy in your knee, you might want to put a block underneath your knee. Especially if when you start to just amazingly feel that forward motion. You know how we started with that exhaling forward and inhaling back up? We did it with our leg crossed, and we did it without. And now we've got our leg long, we're on the floor, and we're coming forward with our foot to the inside of our thigh. You may feel like once you reach a point where you can stay forward, you might even want to reach for your toe, right? But just don't push it. Just let yourself be really easy. You're engaging by feeling this heel, this left heel on the ground and pulling it back towards you a little bit, which means you're engaged in your hamstring and in the front of your leg too. So be where you can. You're coming forward from the low back. Nice. Try to release through your face again so you're not tensing up your face to try to release your leg, right? One more breath. And then as you come back up, you're just going to let this leg come out a little bit to the side. Not very far. Depends on you. You can go farther if you want, but the leg is so that the toe and the knee are facing up. This leg might be a problem for some of us as we think of coming a little bit forward, right? So if you need to, change where this foot is a little bit, right? We're trying to get into the inner thigh of this leg, okay? So as you try to find, well, where do I need to be to really feel something when I come forward right in here, you'll find it. And when you do, you'll go, okay, that's it. Just stay right there and breathe. So one more breath. And we're going to slowly make our way on up from here. Bring that leg on back, and all we're going to do is switch. So coming in now, again, once you bring the left foot in to the inside of that right leg somewhere, you may decide, oh, my hip doesn't really want my knee to hang out like that, right? Totally up to you. And sometimes it feels fine until you come forward, right? If you like start to go, well, when I come forward, I get this weird feeling in my knee, then sometimes that support will really be helpful. So again, if it helps you to move a little bit forward and back, you can. You can do that same little movement with the breath. Maybe that feels better to you than trying to, force yourself forward. Don't force it. Just go where you can. Coming forward from your low back and trying to let yourself just release. Feeling length there in your back. Now remember, That right heel is on the floor, drawing down and back towards you. And as you press into the ball of your foot, that engages you both in the front and the back of your leg. So you're tight in your thigh, and you're also engaged in your hamstring, in the back of your leg. Good. And one more breath here. And then again, as we slowly rise on back up, now that leg's going to gravitate a little to the side. And again, however you need to adjust with this foot. If it needs to come out, or sometimes you just need to stretch your leg out, right? You can do that too. And then as you come forward, take your time. If you can, again, just find this nice feeling here in the inner thigh. And this leg is still engaged. So think of your knee and your toe facing up, your heel on the ground drawing back towards you, and you're kind of pressing into that ball of your foot a little bit, like if you were pushing on the gas of a pedal of a car, right? And you can come as far as you want, right, until you feel a stretch there in your inner thigh. Good, so one more breath. And we're going to slowly make our way back up. We're going to bring our legs all the way on out in front of us and kind of do little wiper blades a little bit there for yourself. If you need to massage a little bit, work around your knees, do. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. Before you go down, just in case you want blocks, have them handy. And we're going to come on down. And once you get down to the floor, let your knees come on in towards your chest, release them a little bit side to side. In fact, when you're moving the knees side to side, see if you can let your head turn to look the opposite direction your knees are going. And it can be really slow motion, or you can go a little faster if you want. Just let yourself release there all the way up into your upper back, and maybe even letting, your neck feel a little release there from those twists. And then come on back into center with the feet on the floor, and come into getting your feet set for bridge, but start with a few little pelvic tilts, right? So when you exhale, let your tailbone curl up. Feel how the low back presses into the floor. Don't lift your hips up, right? It's really low and deep. And then when you inhale, the tailbone goes down a little bit. That natural curve comes back into your low back. So just ease your way into these low, deep pelvic tilts, where you feel that sense of when the flat part of your low back comes to the floor, that sacrum. Let this feel like a release, in other words. And some of you, and this is totally optional, some of you might like to move up the spine like a rolling bridge, where you start with that pelvic tilt and then think of like lifting your hips up and feeling one vertebrae at a time come off the floor. And you might not want to go up high. You might want to go halfway through your back and then go back down. And you may not want to do this at all. So if you don't like to do these rolling bridges, moving through the spine that way, don't do them. You can come up into your regular bridge pose, and if you feel like you'd rather come into a supported bridge pose, you can. Or if you do a little bit of this moving through the spine and then you want to stay up in your bridge, by all means, go right ahead, adjust, do what feels good, right? Let yourself take your time. If you feel like when you get up into bridge pose that you're feeling too much in your back, come down and maybe change how far your feet are away from your buttocks before you go up. Sometimes a little bit different distance between your feet makes a difference. You do want your feet parallel, which you all are. If you like supported bridge and you want to stay there, do it. Let yourself just stay on that block, release down, and relax. Let your low back release. And you know, if you're using a block, those blocks can be at the lowest height or they can be up to the middle. So really take your time. And if you're like, I'm really not going to be able to do this bridge any longer, you know to come down when you're ready. You don't have to wait for me. You can move up and down from bridge too. Sometimes that feels very good. Well, you know in here that when you do get ready to come down from bridge pose, take your time and bring your knees in. However, you need to release your back after your bridge. And that could be anything really. It could be bringing one knee in. It could be just bringing your knees side to side. It could be a happy baby. Or soles of the feet together into a Baddha Konasana or a pile pose. And it can be anything that releases your back. Circling your knees. Take your time. Don't rush. I'm going to start to head around to bring bolsters or blankets or anything anyone might need to feel more comfortable. But don't rush. So if you need to do another pose, you need to do another pose or another movement, by all means do it. I'll look for hands for, well, not that kind of hand. I'll look for hands for anybody who thinks a bolster underneath knees might feel, you want a little one. Here's a big one. I'll be back. So adjust however feels really good for you before the bolster in. And you know you may decide that you need a blanket for underneath your head. You may decide you need a bolster for under your knees, or you know, you just want to be comfortable. There is no right or wrong. Shavasana is traditionally done lying on your back with your legs long, your arms down alongside you, out a little ways with your palms up, but you know, that's not always comfortable. So wave at me. I'm still not sitting down, so wave at me if you can think of anything that sounds like it would help you be able to relax more easily. And just let yourself be with your breath now. Accepting your breaths in and out. Feeling the breath coming in and going out through your nose. And just give yourself the gift of these few minutes. Finding those little quiet places where your body can benefit. Letting yourself just kind of get out of your own way. Trust that your body will get what it needs. And just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. there on the ground again. And just allow your breath to gradually deepen. So you feel those deeper breaths moving you physically, your belly, maybe even into your ribs. Just imagine the breath starting to refresh you, really, bringing you back into wanting to feel physical and wanting to move again. You can start with your extremities, fingers, toes, hands, feet. You know, you can let your arms and legs do whatever you need, stretching or bending or bringing your knees in. You know, too, that you're welcome to stay on your back or to roll, either your right or your left side. Just so you stay just aware of feeling the ground a little bit longer. Take your time. Once you start to feel like you want to rise up to sitting, allow yourself to float your way upward and get comfortable in how you're sitting once you do come up, so that you can feel okay in your hips. You can feel like you're being supported by your spine, really, as you lengthen up through the top of your head. And let your shoulders feel nice and wide and open, bringing your awareness back to your breath. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to come to meet. Really feel those hands coming together in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.